Ukraine says it killed large numbers of Russian forces in two major strikes inside occupied territory. One attack destroyed a Russian drone pilot training camp. Another strike hit a Russian security headquarters and an air defense system. Kyiv says nearly 200 Russian personnel were killed or wounded combined. At the same time, Ukraine is expanding a new drone warfare strategy that is now hitting Russian military infrastructure far behind the front lines. Here's how Ukraine is changing the battlefield with drones. Ukraine says it attacked a Russian drone pilot training camp in the occupied town of Sniz. According to Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, the strike killed at least 65 cadets and one instructor. The attack targeted a large military complex used for drone training, explosive storage, and command operations. Ukraine released footage showing attack drones repeatedly hitting the buildings. Videos online also showed large fires burning across the site. Russia has not officially confirmed the losses. Ukraine says another strike hit a Russian security service headquarters in occupied Kherson. President Volodymyr Zelensky says the attack also destroyed a Russian air defense system. According to Kyiv, almost 100 Russian personnel were killed or wounded during the operation. Ukraine released additional footage showing several buildings being destroyed. These attacks are part of Ukraine's growing effort to damage Russian command centers behind the front lines. Ukraine is now relying heavily on drone warfare. For months, Kyiv focused on frontline drone attacks and long-range strikes deep inside Russia. Now Ukraine is expanding mid-range attacks targeting Russian logistics and military infrastructure. That includes drone bases, fuel depots, air defense systems, and command centers. Analysts say Ukraine's growing drone capability is becoming one of Russia's biggest battlefield problems. Despite the Ukrainian strikes, Russia says it is still making gains on the battlefield. Moscow's defense ministry claimed new territorial advances along the front line. Russia still controls nearly 20% of Ukrainian territory, and heavy fighting continues across eastern and southern Ukraine. The war remains intense on multiple fronts. Russia also announced new nuclear exercises with Belarus. Moscow says some nuclear munitions were moved to storage facilities inside Belarus. Vladimir Putin and Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko supervised the drills through a video call. The move is another example of Russia increasing nuclear pressure during the war, and it is meant to send a warning to both Ukraine and NATO. Ukraine recently slowed Russia's battlefield momentum. According to conflict analysts, Ukraine regained more land last month than Russia captured for the first time since 2024. Kyiv's growing drone superiority is playing a major role. Ukraine is now targeting Russian supply lines, logistics hubs, and military infrastructure much more effectively. That is making it harder for Russia to maintain offensive operations. Ukraine says it inflicted heavy losses on Russian forces in two major strikes. The attacks targeted drone training facilities, command centers, and air defense systems. At the same time, Ukraine's drone warfare strategy is becoming more advanced and more aggressive. Russia still controls large parts of Ukraine, but Kyiv is now striking deeper and harder behind Russian lines, and drone warfare is rapidly reshaping the battlefield. For more geopolitical and military analysis, subscribe to Indo-Pacific Report Global, and stay informed.